Lifestyle Institute.
A group of business leaders has formed to back the governor's plan and to raise awareness about this issue. It is called Rebuild New York Now, and it is headed up by my next guest, Mike Elmendorf. He is the president of the Associated General Contractors of New York. Mike, it's good to see you again. You haven't been here for a while.
Good to be back. Thank you, Liz.
We should say, in full disclosure, that you guys are running an ad before our show.
We're running ads all over the place, yes, but why wouldn't we run on this show? Everyone
I'm
watches,
not
so.
suggesting that you shouldn't. I'm
Right.
just saying that, you know, in case you recognize NY Build, it is, right? In the
Rebuild
blue,
New York Now.
Right, okay,
Yes.
whatever. It's, you know why I say NY Build? It's because Mario Cuomo had, he had, I think it was a bond,
There was a bond
program,
act. Yeah,
right?
Rebuild New York. We
Yeah.
want to rebuild New York now.
As opposed to
Later.
sometime in the future?
Right.
Okay, I
Right.
get it. So this is a campaign, it's an ad campaign, it's a lobbying campaign. Just go through the components of it.
More than that, it's really a grassroots campaign. As you mentioned at the top of the interview, the governor has really done a great job of, I think, elevating this issue by putting a lot of investment in the budget and a lot of his focus on infrastructure issues, especially given the fact that the state is in financially not great condition at the moment.
Right.
I think it's really important that he elevated it. But what this is really about is reaching out to businesses, employers, employees, other groups around the state at a grassroots level to increase the awareness of the importance to invest in infrastructure and sort of move it up the list of issues that voters are concerned about and therefore decision makers are concerned about.
Right, because as we know, all too often voters really don't think about the roads they're driving on or the bridges that they're crossing over water and other highways,
Sure.
et cetera, until those things fall apart, in which case everybody's concerned. You made an interesting, you used the word investment, right? You want to convince people to invest. Well, they need to, because actually that $15 billion is not all state
Right.
funded, right? Remind me the breakdown again?
Well, it's a little bit difficult to clarify because there's a lot of different ways that it's being paid for. There is some initial state investment. I think it's south of $1 billion. There's a number of different pieces here. It's not just roads and bridges. The governor is talking about investing in environmental infrastructure and other types of infrastructure, which
Right.
we support as well.
Right.
There's spinning up of future years federal aid to pay for part of it, and then there's the New York Works Fund, where the governor is working to try to leverage private investment to support infrastructure. And I think the reason why you see that, and we've talked about this before, is you've got these massive needs all around the state with our roads, our bridges, our environmental infrastructure. We've been underinvesting for a long time. The needs are now so great that we don't have the resources to pay for it, especially given the financial condition that every level of government finds itself in. So you've got to get creative, and I think the governor's trying to do that.
Where is the piece about the idea of using pension cash to invest in infrastructure?
Well, I think that's still a work in progress from everything that that we're hearing. And that the governor has been working on that. They've been talking to private entities about trying to develop that kind of investment. You also need to have a public-private partnership vehicle or a law to allow you to do that. We made real progress in December when they allowed design build for certain types of public projects, including roads and bridges. And a lot of what the governor's talking about doing in the budget, it's not just about investing in infrastructure, but it's about being able to build infrastructure a lot more quickly, a lot more efficiently, and hopefully less costly. Design build is part of that, but I think the private investment piece is still a work in progress in a number of different ways.
Do you think that, I mean, a lot of focus has been on the Tappan Zee, right? I mean, in this show we focused on it. It is a big project. Do you think, and there's controversy around it, and particularly where it has to do with shall there or shall there not be mass transit,
Right.
which is a whole different show. But a lot of people are watching that, and do you think that the success of the governor's ability to leverage private investment going forward for other, perhaps smaller, more diverse projects will hinge on the ability of the state to get this project done?
Not really, because the Tappan Zee Bridge is going to be paid for traditionally. It's going to be paid for by a combination of the Thruway Authority financing it, tolls,
Right, it's fast-tracked
and
by the
hopefully,
feds,
hopefully
too.
a federal loan.
Yep.
So that's not going to be a public-private partnership project. And the first round of the accelerated bridge program that the governor has laid out in the budget, which is going to be 100 or so bridges around the state that are going to be built at a pretty accelerated pace, and then about 2,000 miles of road and pavement that's going to be repaired. Those are going to be paid for traditionally too. So the public-private partnership piece and the New York Works Fund using private funds to invest in infrastructure, that's a bit down the road.
Yeah, no, I guess what I meant more was if the state can demonstrate that it can, in fact, do a very big ticket project in an accelerated way. This would be the first large project that the Cuomo administration tackles, infrastructure project.
Sure.
Then perhaps private money, which, there is money out there, but there's not a lot of money being invested at this point because of the economy. People are nervous. Then maybe people will say, okay, it is a good investment to put money in New New York and New York's projects.
Yes, certainly. I think all eyes are going to be on the Tappan Zee Bridge. It's a huge project, and it's got implications far greater than just the work down there on that river crossing. It's going to create opportunities, hopefully, around the state for manufacturers and producers and suppliers. It should really be a big impact. But it's a very ambitious project and a very expensive project. It's going to, nobody knows exactly how much it's going to be.
Right,
The real
so if
test,
it runs
though,
completely over cost, if it takes too much time to do...
I don't think it will, because they're doing it design-build, which is very different. And I think where it really is going to be a test is for design-build. You had some road work and bridge work already done design-build. There was one piece of the emergency recovery work that was done under the governor's emergency declaration.
Remind us what that means again.
It was after the hurricanes, the governor suspended the procurement laws.
Right.
And in doing so, DOT was able to go out and bid a piece of the repair work design build, which means that instead of DOT saying, here's a set of plans, this is exactly what we want you to build, and the contractors come in and they say, okay, here's what we're going to build. The lowest bidder gets the job.
Yep.
Design build, they're saying we need a Tappan Zee Bridge from here to here, and it has to meet certain requirements, but the design is up to the team. So you have a construction team, you have design, you have different elements.
Got it.
They did that on a much smaller scale with the disaster relief. It was down in south of here, and that work was done early and under budget. It was a big success for design build, which is why people advocate for design build. You're not going to want to do every job design build, but something like the Tappan Zee, you almost have to do design build.
Right, because there was some concern that actually this would be a way to circumvent the requirement that you have to have union contracts. Was that
No, that's a really different thing. That gets into a whole other issue with PLAs and everything, and there will be a PLA on the Tappan Zee Bridge, but it's really about procuring work differently in New York. By the way, most other states sort of do this stuff routinely. We're a little bit in the dark ages when it comes to this, but the bigger issue is that it's infrastructure investment, and it's got a much broader impact than just there. And you look at what we're talking about with Rebuild New York Now. Just this week there was a series of stories about the condition of the Northway here in the Capital District, an area that economically is doing quite well. There's some real interesting things happening here. So you've got the Northway, which is not able to handle now the level of traffic that you have because we're a growing area. So it's not just about the deterioration of roads and bridges, things that are in bad shape or that are just old and don't meet current standards. It's about where you have areas where you have economic opportunity, you're being held back by the infrastructure that you have in place that's not up to snuff.
So we're actually almost out of time. I just want to ask, what are we going to see from this entity? Are we going to be seeing TV ads? Are we going to see radio ads? I mean, obviously we know we're seeing advertisements on this show. You have a website as well, but how big of a project is this? Like a six-figure entity?
It's going to be significant. It's going to be ongoing. We're going to be out around the state. Our members and folks who are part of the group doing sort of town hall meetings talking about the importance of infrastructure. It's really about engaging people and making sure that they understand it's about more than just the immediate impact of building stuff, which is good anyway because it creates jobs, but it's about the broader economy that relies on that infrastructure to function, because if it's falling apart, it just becomes one more reason why people don't want to invest, live, or create jobs in New York, and that's not what we want.
And perhaps your lift is a little bit lighter because this is not a bond act. You're not asking people to vote to support for more spending in terms of more borrowing or to raise their taxes. You're talking about support for a project.
We're asking folks to support the governor's plan and his budget, and we're asking people also at the federal level to urge Congress to move on a surface transportation reauthorization because it's years overdue.
Okay, well, we love infrastructure on this show, so we will be talking about it more. Until then, Mike Elmendorf, thank you very much.
Thank you.